My name is Wang Yanhua and I come from China. And I'm the student of the FIFU, the master student major in offshore and coastal engineering. I'm taking this winter school for study the ice mechanics and do the related experimentation of the ice mechanics. Because this program strongly related with my final thesis, with my final job, I would like to go on. If I want to go on study with a PhD or find a job, I really need to know a lot of this kind of knowledge and such like this one.
Я вообще математик по образованию.
I'm a mathematician by training. Currently, I'm studying on a magister course and I'm also a postgrad student. In magistracy, I'm engaged in studying the Arctic issues as a part of the international relations between Russia and China, including the Northern Sea route and offshore structures and icebreakers. So I have direct interest to the topic and I would like to derive my knowledge not only in humanities, but also in technical and scientific aspects.
Знания, но и технические, и научные в этом аспекте.
Actually, I came here to study in this university to do my master's in offshore technology and coastal engineering. And my thesis is related to concrete. And concrete is the future in the Arctic areas, and I kind of fell into it and I started studying more about ice mechanics, and this course will also help me for my future thesis.
Узнали непосредственно от
We received information about the course directly from its supervisor, Alexander Becker. I got acquainted with him during various conferences and seminars. So we got an offer to visit the winter course and the Far Eastern University to see how educational process is going on here. It was very interesting offer. So we're here and we don't regret about it.
Предложение заинтересовало. Приехали, не жалеем.
I got information about this course from my professor in the university, and I was very excited because I read about this university, that it is new and it is quite impressive, and I definitely ice mechanics in this region is very interesting to me because I have been working for more than 10 years on icebreaker propulsion design for ships that are operating in the Sakhalin.
Университет потрясающий, очень.
The university is fabulous. A lot of new impressions because campus atmosphere aims you to a full value studying. It has everything in place. Students are located in an isolated place, having no reasons to abstract from main activities. It is a great place. All people are friendly. Everything is very close to you. All the laboratories and technical facilities that I saw, they impressed me very much. I can say that Russia has things to be proud of. The Far Eastern Federal University is a fabulous university.
The idea of organization of the Ice Mechanics Winter School is based on long-lasting research works and on formation of the scientific team at the Far Eastern Federal University. Everything started in 1970 when Professor Karpati organized first research works and scientific school in the sphere of ice mechanics. In 1980, we executed a huge scope of theoretical and experimental research works on the ice cover, directed to development of the first discovered hydrocarbon fields in the Sakhalin Shelf. In 1990, we took active part in first real Sakhalin-1 and Sakhalin-2 projects and shelf construction, implemented by Exxon, Shell, Sakhalin Energy and Kverner companies. We have many international level articles. We're well known all around the world, and we have extensive relations, both internal and international. That is why this school is a kind of event that allows teaching ice mechanics to young people and draws them into interesting scientific research projects. Arctic research is of high interest for us at this point. It is now a very important project for the whole country, and we're actively engaged into its implementation. The International Research and Education Center, the Arctic, was established in the university a year ago. This project is a part of the program targeted to improving the competitiveness of the university. This is one of the activity areas of the School of Engineering. Within the center, various laboratories were formed, including the Ice Research Lab, Marine Engineering Structures Design Lab, Numerical Simulation Lab, and the Design Office. All these laboratories are oriented to the Arctic projects.
Арктические проекты. Идея проведения зимней школы.
The idea of the winter course is a result of our understanding that the Arctic zone needs to be researched. We have plenty of theoretical studies. We also conducted a number of field research projects. So now the experience that we gain allow us to go to a new level when we are ready to start the Arctic zone research in expeditions. So we decided to conduct a small, just a 2-day field research project in order to be prepared to possible expeditions, in order to understand what we can do, what instruments and equipment we need, to practice all technologies and principles. Within the field research project, we indeed conducted 4 experiments, and we chose those types of experiments that require mass participation.
Требует массового участия.
Our winter course is divided into 2 sections. The first section is a lecture course where students are getting acquainted with what the ice load is, what the impact of ice is, what kind of risks can arise while design and construction of structures in the Arctic conditions. The second section of our course consists of a number of research experiments and determination of basic mechanical properties of ice, as well as collecting statistical data on physical and mechanical properties of ice, including salinity, strength, physical structure, and so forth. Here we conduct 2 basic experiments in 2 testing areas. The first testing area is Eastern testing area. The second is Western testing area. The big testing area is 100 to 100 square meters. The small one is just 6.25 to 6.25 meters. And the middle one is 25 by 25 meters. Why the difference is so much? The first is analysis of the heterogeneity of the ice cover, because the strength of the ice is not the same in different points. It directly affects on the structure's perception of the ice load. The second part of the work here is analysis of the ice physical and mechanical properties. This includes code drillings, their strength tests and other methods. The first method of strength determination is by throwing a ball into an ice hole. Just like this, you can see them here. The second one is press testing. We made a lot of samples. We cut something like 5 or 10 centimeters of the general cover and threw a 5-kilogram steel ball. We threw the ball into each ice hole for 3 times. Then we measured all diameters and documented all the data. At this point, the data shows that ice is not homogeneous. Closer to the coast diameters are something like 6 centimeters, a little bit farther than like 3.5. Feels the difference.
В рамках нашей зимней школы
In the frameworks of our winter course, we worked out the experiment that already had been worked out by the hydraulic engineering department of the former Far Eastern Technical University. It was aimed at heterogeneity determination. Distinguished feature of this course is that we used new equipment. We came up with this idea to use this new equipment while preparing the winter course. These big machines are used for ice grinding. We used grinding principles that allow us to quickly prepare sampling surface with controlled grinding depth. We came up with this idea several months ago and now it was implemented in full. We produced needed equipment and the results were great. Indeed, a good idea that was fully implemented.
Удачная идея, которая реализована.
Сейчас происходит процесс.
Now we are in the process of ice samples waiting in order to determine ice density in natural conditions. The sample in my hands was made with the help of the ice core drilling method. At each point we drill 4 ice cores. For the ice density testing we use 2 top parts and 2 bottom parts. This helps us know the density spread over the sample's thickness. Each sample is marked with a special marking like this one. Here we put the number of the testing area, point of the core drilling, and whether this is a top or a bottom part of the sample. For the density research, it is very important to know the density spread over the sample thickness. As ice is petty heterogeneous in both spatial separation and thickness, determination of the density spread over the sample thickness is a very important parameter. In general, density is a very important parameter when dealing with ice. It affects ice strength, and ice strength in its turn affects ice load on structures. So with this type of research, we can make recommendations. What kind of structures can be constructed in the Arctic seas? What are the properties of ice we need to research and so forth? So this experiment is a part of bigger goal on conducting experiments helping to determine ice loads.
Образец льда.
Each ice sample is first weighted in the air using special weighting machine. So we determine its weight on the air. Then we need to do the same, but in some liquid environment with known density. Let's suppose it is kerosene. This also can be toluene or any other liquid with known properties. Before the weighting, we need to take the temperature of the liquid and to take its gravity with a special device called densimeter. Due to the difference of sample's mass in the air and, let's say, in kerosene, students can calculate the density of ice using special formula, and they also put all the data in their logs. Further, they will statistically process all collected data. They will get graphs and charts, and they will produce forecasts of ice density spread over the thickness in specific water areas. This experiment is very important, very interesting and pretty labor and time-consuming. Today we conducted a number of experiments, so we will need to weigh 48 of such samples. Determination of ice flexural strength is a special test. A key is cut out and then you start pressing down on a free end. At the moment when ice breaks, a shift of the key at its root is measured. Then we recalculate flexure strength of ice. When we press down in a press machine, we measure uniaxial compression strength of ice. But here we talk about flexural strength of ice.
Key is an everyday expression. In reality, scientific term is bending of a cantilever beam. So this is condition of ice in which the ice generally affects any construction. As a rule, it loads and resists as a bending beam. So the ice loading structure goes either up or down relative to the structure. With this, we conduct experiments that are very close to its natural behavior in impacting hydraulic structures. Right in the field, we cut out a prism of a certain size. One of the sides remains restrained in ice cover. Then we free it from ice from connection with the main mass of ice. We also secure a certain distance so that random particles would not affect the experiment. And then we start making loading at a controlled distance. We measure maximum force at which breakdown is reached, as well as shift at which the beam is broken. Then we use this information as initial data in calculating mechanical qualities of ice cover. And we talk about scale experiments and for large-scale structures. All collected data is then given to participants of our seminar. Using special methodology, they will calculate strengths of the ice cover in real conditions.
В реальных условиях.
Надо отметить, что эти исследования
I need to point out that these research projects are aimed not only to a studying process, but also positive to our scientific research, as we're dealing with additional information, which will reinforce our long-standing observations and will widen a series of representative data for calculating strengths of ice. It is extremely important.
После того, как мы прослушали курс лекций,
After we took a lecture course and conducted some experiments, we get some data. We were also given some questions we had to answer. And then we had to show what results we received and which experiments were conducted in form of presentation. With that, we confirm our qualification in the issue. It also showed that lectures were very useful.
My master's degree paper was devoted to studying the sea ice and to a certain series of tests and ways of their implementation. Here we could compare how this is done overseas and how this is done here in Russia, what the new methods are and their differences.
многие эксперименты.
We managed to conduct ourselves many experiments we were only reading of in various scientific articles and books. We received real knowledge, we made real calculations. I believe this is very useful for our future. This is real, tremendous experience.
I think the most interesting part was the practical part, obviously, and I really enjoyed doing these experiments because they were new for me and I had never done them before.
This is the first time of our school hold this kind of program, and I think it's very successful. The course have the 7 days course and 2 days experimentation and 2 days data analysis and get the result from that one. I think it's very reasonable to have this kind of arrangement. Yes.
I am doing my doctoral thesis at the moment. I hope that I can use some of the information and knowledge that I have learned here, as well as I will of course report to my colleagues and to my professor in Aalto University about the course and the program and the content and so on.
Hopefully, I hope so. There are more students. I think I have created a path, and I know Indians like to follow created paths, and I think there will be more students in the future.
мы планируем этот опыт сейчас.
We plan to develop this experience. In 2016, we may organize 2 similar schools, winter and summer schools. Furthermore, By that time, we will have our ICE laboratory in place. Judging by responses and interest to the course, the ice mechanics school has really great potential.
Потенциал большой.